Issue 25, The Real Person. A real person is one who manages to be himself. This sounds elementary and perhaps even naive, but don't be fooled. Being yourself is a challenging task because first you need to know yourself, and few people do. What are you really like? Would you be offended if I were to suggest that you are two people? Well, after all, everyone is. First, you are the self with many unattractive qualities, the secret desires, the large and small fears, the nagging insecurities, the twinges of envy, of cowardice, of avarice. Second is the self you proudly present to the world, courageous, confident, mature, selfless. This is the self each of us wants the world to see. It is impossible to be 100% real. The society we live in, whatever society that may be, requires us to pretend to behave in a certain prescribed manner, even though it may be contrary to our own desire. But the better adjusted we are, the more genuine we become. So, a genuine person has a consistency which runs through every phase of his interpersonal relationships. Manners are not relative. He doesn't shower someone with attention one day and ignore him the next. He doesn't wear one face for the CEO and another for the janitor. He doesn't smile sweetly to his dinner partner and then, within seconds, bark orders to the waiter. He operates at a high ethical level and within a predictable framework. His responses to trying situations are disciplined and civilized. He doesn't switch positions, abandon his principles, or change his personality to fit his mood, the company, the weather, or the state of his digestion. A real person uses a simple conversational alphabet. There is no capital I and no small u. He is not driven to exaggerate his virtues or his achievements. He doesn't pretend to be wealthier, wiser, better, or worse than he really is. He doesn't try to overwhelm others by name-dropping or place-dropping. The man who brags about his family tree reveals himself as the sap. And we all know people who select their church, politics, and clubs solely on the basis of what the affiliation might do for them, socially or financially.
Comprehension. 1. Who are the two people in ourselves? 2. What does consistency mean in terms of a real person? 3. By what criteria would a real person choose a church, political party, or club to belong to? How do most people decide?
Let's talk. One. What are some of the manners society prescribes for us? Be specific. 2. Do you think the traditionally prescribed manners are always the right ones? Why or why not? 3. Are there any prescribed manners that are contrary to your own desires? 4. By what criteria would you choose a college to attend? What about choosing a college for your children? 5. By what criteria do you choose your friends? 6. By what criteria did you choose your religion? 7. By what criteria would you choose your job?
Opinion samples. 1. Manners are culturally transmitted, and so sometimes a gracious gesture is misconstrued as being rude in a different situation. Arabs are well known for wanting to be in very close proximity to each other when they talk, but Americans feel uncomfortable unless there is a lot of space between them. For the English, most people they deal with on a daily basis are known by their titles, Mr. Jones, for instance, even if they have known them for years. But Australians prefer to be known immediately by their first names and expect to address everyone else the same way. Notoriously, it is said that Eskimo men believe that it is the epitome of civility to loan their wives to a visiting stranger for the night, but most other peoples would regard the practice as barbaric. Question: Are there any traditional manners you want to throw away?
2. One custom that has always bothered me about the Asian societies I have known is their high degree of hypocrisy. Of course, everyone is two-faced to some extent. We all find it easier to be polite than insulting, especially if we are trying to impress somebody or avoid an argument, or if we don't want to hurt someone's feelings needlessly. But as a Westerner, I find the Eastern habit of avoidance behavior unsettling. People tell me they are going to do something and then do the opposite. Or knowing that they are going to do something that concerns me directly, they do not tell me about it. So I find myself unpleasantly surprised when it finally happens. I have had friends who were seriously dating some Asian women for months, only to be told at the last minute that she couldn't go out with them again because she was getting married next week. I know the guilty parties mean well. They don't want to give anyone unpleasant news directly if they don't have to, but I prefer candid discussion to deferential cant. Question: do you agree that Asians have a high degree of hypocrisy, or is this just a prejudice of the writer?
Issue 25. The Real Person.
Why do I have to be nice to my husband's family? We all know that I don't like them very much, and they sure don't care anything for me.
Well, you should at least try. It's only for a few hours every month. You might as well pretend to get along. It's better than fighting every time you meet. And think of your poor husband. He just gets caught right in the middle.
I don't regret at all that he loves his parents. I know that he loves me too, so it's not a competition between us. But we've just never hit it off, and it's such a strain to put up with them. If he wanted to visit them by himself, I wouldn't mind at all. I could easily do something else while he was gone.
That's a terrible attitude.
You think so? Well, it's just the way I feel, that's all. I'm only being honest.
Honesty isn't always the best policy. If diplomats were completely honest with each other, there'd sure be a lot more wars and fewer international compromises.
But I'm not an ambassador. I'm just a person with low tolerance for conformity just for the sake of conformity. We're all different people, and we shouldn't be ashamed of our true selves.
What if I told you that you were just a selfish, self-centered woman who cared more about her feelings than she did about her husband's needs? How would that make you feel?
Well, at least I know what you really thought about me. That's better than having the mistaken idea that you were my friend. Or maybe I'd realize that you were my true friend who wasn't afraid to tell me the truth. But either way, a little true knowledge is better than any false belief.
Not many people can lead that kind of life. Most want to be comforted and reassured by their friends and colleagues. The world is cruel and heartless enough as it is.
I suppose you're right about that, but I'd rather deal with reality than fantasy. It's the way I was brought up.
To each his own, I guess, but I'm not that way myself. I'd rather avoid harsh reality if I could. I rather enjoy being coddled sometimes, even if it doesn't last.
That's not the way you seem to me at all. What about what you said to me?
What did I say?
You said I was self-centered and indifferent to my husband's feelings.
No, I didn't. It was just a hypothetical question, what if? If you thought I meant that, I apologize.
Okay, fine. But did you really mean it or not?
Questions. 1. Why would she rather keep away from her in-laws? 2. Why does society encourage dishonesty? 3. Why is, or is not, reality better than fantasy, according to each speaker?